No, okay, let's get started. I'm very excited to talk about testing for web accessibility, something I do on a regular basis in my job. And I wanted to give you an introduction and an overview of what tools are out there as a browser application, as a browser extension, or as a web application, what automatic testing tools are there, what screen readers are there, and how could you use them also in the daily basis. It doesn't matter if you're a designer or a developer or a tester. I am a strong believer everyone should know about these tools and should be able to work with them. So I already gave an introduction that I'm from Vienna, Austria, and I'm an accessibility specialist at Atos. For the question to what is actually web accessibility, we heard a lot about from a colleague, and I want to give my own perspective about it. It's that every user, regardless of a disability, must have equal access to the information. And this means that every user, regardless of their abilities, if they have a disability or not, it doesn't matter. And also it doesn't matter about the input devices or if they have to use an assistive technology, they are able to perceive the content of your website. They are able to understand what is on your website and how to interact with your website and application, and also be able to interact with the application regardless of their input device. And if you create a website and think that everything is fine because maybe you are a mouse user like I am, I write my code that it works for me and the website I understand very well, this can be misleading because you say, yeah, it's working on my side and with the mouse, but there are so many different input devices many people do not know about or don't think about, that people maybe use and understand websites differently than themselves. So you have to test for this specific abilities and also devices, because there are a million people out there who want to look at your website and read the content, and you of course want to make it available for everyone out there. So what to test for is that I do not want to jump over this. There is a report every year from the Web A Million organization, and they test 1 million home pages, and this is only the home page, not the whole website, not the whole application, only the home pages. And these are the most common failures of the WCAG on their website, which is low contrast text. This is very important for people with visual disabilities. Also, missing alternative text on an image is one of the most common issues, which is depending on if you give your image an alternative text or not. This is important also for people using screen readers, because then the screen reader will announce the description of the image, but also in case you do not have a good Wi-Fi connection and the image does not load. So these chances are very high that the alt text is shown, and then it's important that you have a very descriptive alt text to understand what the image would be like. And the other 4 errors are missing form labels, empty links, empty buttons, and missing document languages. It's almost always for screen reader users, because the screen reader is then not able to understand the component you created and has no way to give this information to the screen reader user in a good way. So what to test for and for who to test for? You should always test your components and the whole website for mouse users, for keyboard users, for screen reader users, when it comes to the input device or assistive technology, but also for people with low vision or with cognitive disabilities. So there are, and also, for example, a magnifier, which would be for people with low vision, they zoom in the text. So the website must be able to be zoomed in for about 400%. This would be very, very good. This would be WCAG AAA, but 200% would also be good. And this would not only make the website accessible for screen reader users, but this is also something which you have to do when you create mobile first applications. It's almost the same. It's the same effect you have when you create a component. Then let's get to the automatic testing tools, which I think gives you a really good start if you're not used to accessibility at all. How to get into accessibility, how to test for accessibility, what does accessibility mean, what are these different errors and how to understand them. I think these tools are a very good starting point. So these are the four, I think, most prominent ones. They have differences, but they also do mostly the same thing. They test the website you're currently on accessibility errors. And I personally most likely use always XDevTools, but there's no particular reason. It's just a tool I feel most comfortable with, or I think I understand better than the others, but that does not mean that the others are not good, or it really depends on the user. Yeah, and you also have to be aware that even though you're testing with an automatic testing tool, these tools are only catching about 30% of the accessibility errors, which means that there are still there are still 70% of accessibility errors on the website, which you can only find out with manual testing. I also think that XDevTools, which is from DQ, do have a better tool as well, or if you have the upgraded version you have to pay for, which it seems to catch about 50%, but I did not test it, and yeah, do the manual testing. And I want to show you the tool. I take this page because I'm currently working on this to make it more accessible. And how you can use XDevTools is, for example, you have it as an extension, but you are not using it from the extension bar, but you have it integrated in your developer tools. And I go to XDevTools, and then you can scan the full page. Not that much. You just hit the button and then it scans, and it says that from the accessibility errors we have, like the critical and the serious ones, and then there are moderate ones and minor ones, the tool finds currently on this page 10 issues, which would be the heading levels should be only increased by 1. And if you don't know what this means, you can open it. You can also highlight it, because you maybe think, okay, which heading does it mean? You can highlight it, and it already zooms into it jumps to the heading, which is the problem. And it also highlights what it gives an explanation of what could be wrong in this particular case. You could also jump to the source code. And you can also get more information if you click this one. And this is, I think, really good, but all the other tools have this as well. They then bring you to the DQ University. I think Google Lighthouse extension also brings you to the DQ University. They are really good when it comes to explanations. And also the tool like DevTools is from DQ. And then you can read about the problem and the impact it has, and on who it has the impact, and how to make it better, how it should be. Like in this case, the heading 1 should be followed by heading 2, and not, for example, that the next one would be a heading 4. So you would skip H2 and H3, and this is a problem. First of all, when it comes to the design, when it comes to the design only, it would be a problem for sighted users who rely on the visual information that, let's say, on this page, every H2 is pink, and suddenly the H2 is not pink anymore, but is black. And you think, okay, this section is something different now. It's not an outline of all the heading 2 with maybe the section heading. This could also confuse sighted users, but it's also very difficult for screen reader users, because screen reader users, they can navigate by headings and to understand the structure. And this would make it difficult for them. That why is suddenly an H4? So we use, as a developer, we use these headings to give semantic meaning for the headings, like the H1, sorry. The H1 should be only one time on a whole site, because this is like the title for the whole site. And then it is followed by H2s, which would be like, for each sections, and beneath the H2, below it would be the H3 for subsections, to make it more understandable. And so, which also means that an H3 is never that important from an outside perspective, but only when you are inside a section which is marked with an H2. Yeah, you get there also the rules, and you can check out the code. This is, I think, a really handy tool when it comes to these automatic testing tools. And yes, as I said, these are the 4 most common ones, and each of them have their own advantages, and you should check them out, which is most suitable for you and your needs. I think this is from Microsoft, obviously Google, and this Wave. So next, there is also the browser testing, and the first manual testing everyone should do when entering a website. This is since I'm a developer, and I'm a software developer for 3 years now, and I cannot navigate through a website I don't know in a, let's call it, normal way anymore, because I always have to check it. Is it accessible? How is the keyboard? How does it interact with screen readers? I cannot see it just as a plain website. I always have to check if people implemented it in a good way. And the first would be, what you can test is with keyboard, and this means with the tab key only. And I also want to show you what I mean with this. We are here again at our fitness website, and let's start somewhere here, and I'm using the tab key, and we can see that it jumps to the language switch. This is also what I would have expected, to go to the language switch first, or actually I would think of it that the skip to content is the first link to be focused on. But yeah, the language switch, and then the next one is, it's a guessing game. Where am I? I know where I am because I can see it here below. It says that I'm at Penta Sports Instagram, which means that I'm currently here on this logo. And after that, I'm at the home and I'm at the membership. There is now the cursor. I already lost focus. So I'm not sure why I already jumped here to the read more, I guess. This makes it very difficult for keyboard users to navigate the web, because why am I suddenly here at the read more button, or somewhere, why does the site not navigate anymore? Because you cannot see where the focus is. And I'm certain that the developer sets the outline to 0, which is never a good idea. If you do not like the default outline, and every browser has a default outline, so the focus is actually from beginning, the focus is there, it's visible. It's, I think, blue and with little dots from Safari, and for some it's black, or most likely it's blue, which means it is surrounded. And this is the default behavior of every browser, and developers on purpose give it away. Well, maybe not the developer, maybe the project manager said, or the product owner, they don't want this ugly blue outline, but this is actually very important for people, keyboard users, also for people with low vision, to see where they are when they are navigating. So you can style it differently. This is something you have to do in your design process. How should the button or the link behave when a user puts focus on it? Then you style it as you wish, but never set outline to 0, because people get lost on the web page. And this is something really everyone can test. Project managers, project owners, business analysts, everyone can test this. You only need the tab key. And the next one would be, which is also a manual testing, is browser dev tools. Chrome, Firefox, and Safari, also Edge, they have certain accessibility testings already implemented, and they're also getting better. My perspective is this, that maybe everyone has its differences. Firefox is a bit, at least, is not that easy maybe. Mostly I use Chrome, or on my company laptop, which is a Lenovo, I use Edge. It's a bit more easier, but I want to show you how what you can test for accessibility using the browser dev tools. Also on your thing, you go to the inspect mode, and now you see we have the DOM tree. And the DOM tree is important because when you use a screen reader, which means that a user with low vision or no vision or a legally blind person get only the notifications by the screen reader what is on the page, so they can't see what's on your page. And while people with a good vision have the ability to jump where they want, so I'm not interested in the top of the page, I just want to see what's in the footer, I can directly go into it. It takes me 1 second. But a screen reader user cannot do this. They have to rely on the good implementation of the code, and when it's written with semantic HTML and used in a proper way and a good structure and a good outline, then the screen reader user is able to communicate the code and make it understandable for screen reader users. So we see here the DOM. And this is actually not what the screen reader is announcing, but I can show this better when I go to the Chrome DevTools. Now I will start here with the Firefox one, and what we can test here, for example, would be we can check if there are landmarks used on the web page. What are landmarks? For developers, hopefully everyone knows what a landmark is. On each page, it should be structured, each website, to have a banner landmark, which is mostly known as the header, and it's also the header tag. And maybe inside or above or below is a navigation. It's the nav tag. We have both here. Then we have the main content, which, the main content of the whole page, where all the content you want to read about is contained. And this also has a contact form, and we can actually click on it and it shows where the banner is. So this is the header and it's in pink, and the navigation is inside here. It can be better shown when we're making it. This is the navigation. The main content is actually where all the content is written in, and then we also have a form as a landmark. And sadly, there is no footer, which is weird because we have a large footer here. And the developer did not put it inside a footer. But this is crucial for people with screen readers to easily navigate to the footer when they know a website and they know that the contact information of the website is in the footer and they want to jump directly into the footer. They can only do this so when there is a footer tag implemented. Otherwise, they have to read the whole page word by word, or I'm not even sure how they come, because they already give up after 10 seconds when they see there's no semantic used at all. It's just unbearable to navigate with a screen reader when there's no semantic HTML. And semantic HTML is, in this case, as I said, the header tag, for example, or when there's a video, which is what is not semantic is a div. A div should only be used for styling purposes. It does not give any semantic meaning. It's just a container for styling. And H1 is a heading, so there is a semantic meaning behind it. A paragraph is a semantic meaning behind it. An A tag for a link is a semantic meaning behind it. So use semantic HTML always when it's appropriate. And also use the right semantic HTML ones. This is also important. Yes, what else to do? Then we have an accessibility tab in the browser DevTools, and now you can see the DOM tree. Sorry, not the DOM tree, but the accessibility tree. And this would be the one which is communicated to the screen reader user. As we had before, like it was called in the source code. The source code, we write it as a header tag, but what the accessibility tree translates to the screen reader user is actually banner. And inside the banner, there is a link. And the link has the accessible name to content. Yeah, this is actually the important part, or the interesting part, the screen reader is communicating with, the accessibility tree. And here in Firefox, you also have other possibilities, like you can simulate things. For example, people with different visual impairments, maybe they have a contrast loss. How would it look? How would the page look like? This would be the website with a contrast loss. The contrast is okay, not that bad. What would it be for people who are really cannot see any colors? It would be in black and white, and it's still perceivable for people with this disability. Even better, I think, is the browser DevTool for Chrome DevTools. It's the same page, and I'm here now in Chrome. And we have, this is again the DOM tree, which can be translated with the accessibility API into the accessibility tree. And they have this icon here, which can be activated by going to the accessibility and enable full page accessibility tree. You have to reload the site then, the developer tools, to make it really possible to get this icon. And when you click on it, you can see the whole accessibility tree, what will be ignored. Generic is most likely the div, and what is semantic. And there you can see it's the heading. And the cool thing here is that you can see what properties a heading has. In this case, we are in the heading. It's your boutique fitness club. And you can see that it's a heading level 1. And it has a role of a heading because we set it to H1. And the content, which is the accessible name, is your boutique fitness club. It has no title attribute, no error label attribute, no error labeled by attribute. It's also not necessary here. But this gives you a lot of information, especially when you have something you can interact with. I'm not sure if I have something good to interact with. There would be also different error attributes. For example, if it's required, it's required. So if you do not fill out the form, then you get the error message that it's required. And this would be the thing that the screen reader user says to the screen reader says to the user, that you have to fill out the name. This makes it possible. This is a good information for the screen reader user to realize what's wrong. So like I would see that suddenly there's a text which says, hey, you have to fill out your name, but a screen reader user have to rely on the screen reader and on the good written code to be able to perceive that you have to fill out this field in order to send it. And yeah, here the properties on an input element is really large. And I think this is also a good start to get used to these elements. And what does it even mean to have all these elements on an input field? You may not ever thought about it until now. So please check it out and get used to these kind of tools and to the browser dev tools, especially because as a developer, especially this is our tool. This is our job to know the browser dev tools and to work with it. I encourage you to use it. So. And there are different browser extensions. I'm already very deep in my doc, very long. There are different extensions. Every link to this extension I added to my resources on the end of the slides, and which I will, of course, share with you. You can check different things. The heading maps just to give you a short thing, it's the heading maps. You can see how the headings are structured. There's a main navigation. This is a invisible one only for screen reader user, but it's still wrong because they use the H2. But we have a kind of a good one. This is the title, which is then followed by an heading level 4, which was pointed out by the automatic testing tool we saw before. So this is wrong. That's also the reason why it's red in here, because it skipped level 2 and level 3. It's level 1 and then level 4, and this is not possible. So this gives you a good structure of every website you're currently on. What else do we have? Landmarks. I already showed you in the Firefox browser DevTools. So some of these extensions are already implemented in the browser DevTools as well. So we can use them here or there. And yeah, it shows to the banner, main navigation, the 4 landmarks we have. And they're also a good one, the web developer tools, where you can, for example, if you want to know what if my CSS is not loading, you can simply disable all the styles and you would get this. And now it would be for you to check, do you understand the website without all the visual stuff? This is mostly important for things you maybe create some widgets or tools where you only rely on color, which is never a good idea. You should never only rely on color to convey meaning, like, hey, this is important. And you think, okay, I do not write the word important, but you make it red background. Now you can see if there's something really important, there's no red background anymore. So I would never see that something on this page is very important. You have so many options in here with the web developer tools, images, what alternative text does the image have, like this one, Pinto spots on Google Maps. And on Chrome, I thought it's the same extension, but maybe it's I guess it's a different one where it acts differently on Chrome, but you can also disable JavaScript. And then, for example, you cannot change the language. So if I have bad internet connection and the JavaScript does not load, how can I now switch the language? These are very interesting things you should test and should think about, that not everyone is able to do what you think it's easy to do or possible to do, because on your side, everything works just fine.
Okay.
And okay, way too.
Okay. How many slides do you have? We got some questions.
Okay. Yeah, I do have actually a few more slides, but I can just stop there.
Okay.
I'm not sure. How much?
Actually, it was like 8. Maybe we got 2 more minutes, and then we can go on to the question. Yeah.
Okay. Then please check everything out. There are also other extensions where you should really check your color contrast, easy tools, put in the hex code for your foreground color and background color, and then you can see if it's possible to use them or not, if they pass the WCAG. And there's also a link for a website where you can check for a link against background, against body. And when it comes to screen readers, if you have a very good semantic HTML structure, you can see that a screen reader user is able to navigate with shortcuts by only popping up the landmarks or navigating by headings or navigating by images. But if you do not use semantic HTML, then maybe the user gets the image because I added an alt text, which is also not very descriptive, but the other thing does not show. So the screen reader user cannot navigate the website at all when you use not semantic HTML. And there are screen readers. You should also really, it doesn't matter your position, check them out, get used to them, how they work. Their voiceover is built in macOS and iOS, and there's narrative built in Windows. And also there are to download NVIDIA and JAWS. And of course, you have to test actually for, I would love to show you all my great videos. There are differences in screen reader announcement. And you, for example, that when you use NVDA would say choose a starter Pokemon, table with 4 rows and 3 columns, and choose a starter Pokemon. So it repeats actually the caption, and it says captions at the end, while the JAWS screen reader would announce table with 3 columns and 4 rows, choose a starter Pokemon, column 1, row 2, and also gives the focus, the accessibility, the screen reader focus, not the keyboard focus, but the screen reader focus puts it already in the first cell. These are differences, but this does not mean that something is wrong with the code because it does not announce the same as in this one. So you should check different browsers and screen reader combinations, but not all of them. There is also from WebAIM a screen reader survey. These are the most common used combinations: JAWS with Chrome and NVIDIA with Chrome, JAWS with Edge, NVIDIA with Firefox, and VoiceOver on Safari. So there's no sense to test, let's say, NVIDIA on Safari or VoiceOver on Edge, because screen reader users do not use this. When they have a MacBook, they only use the implemented stuff, which is VoiceOver on Safari. And there's also the possibility to test during development. This would be accessibility testing with Playwright. You can write end-to-end tests, and also ESLint JSX, which should be enabled to have already point out the errors you are having during development. And yeah, okay, sorry. And this one is, I love this topic so much. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy that I could talk about it, and I hope
Thank you so much.
Testing. Thank you.
Okay, so we got a question. What are some challenge? What are some of the key challenge you face, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the key challenges currently in my position is to make, so I'm in my team, I'm the accessibility specialist. I'm also a developer. That's why I understand code, and I'm also into UX design. I understand, for example, how Figma works and how designers tend to create designs. And I also worked with some testers. And I think the challenge is to make it understandable what each of the positions should actually be able to do, and to understand when it comes to accessibility, that's the stuff I showed you should not be some additional stuff, but testing, all the testing tools I showed you should be on a daily basis used by testers, because they are testing tools, and it's the job of a tester to test with their tools. And also for developers to understand how components work, how semantic HTML works. This is the tool for a developer this is your language you're writing. You should understand it. And this is very difficult to make them understand. So they are like, okay, it works on my machine, so I don't care, or this is enough. It's hard to get through them and to make them understand. And it's also hard to find where does this way of thinking or the problem or something like this start? Because I can be a very good developer, but what if my project manager says you have 5 minutes and I don't care if it's accessible, just do it. So there are so many points you have to think about. The whole team has to be say yes to accessibility, and has to understand accessibility to make it part of the whole development process. This should not be a question. This should be just how it is. So there's no user experience without accessibility. There's so difficulties in the way of thinking and how to get through them and how to make people aware of what should be out there.
Okay, thank you so much
for this question.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.